I've had loads of students come to me and say, at the end of our course, we're told that we'll be doing a literature review. I'm not sure what that is. What does that mean? Do I take all of the studies and put them together? Where do I get the studies from? How do I even get my topic? What do I do? I'm really confused. So, in this video, we're going to be talking briefly about what literature review is. Now, what is literature review? I want to make this video as simple as possible such that a layman can pick it up, watch it, and understand what a literature review is in simple terms. So we're not going to be going intricate into all of those intricate details and all of the complex dynamics and terminologies and all of that. No, we want to make this as simple as possible such that you have the baseline understanding of what literature review is. Now, I have a more detailed video that provides like the step-by-step guide. I think I made that video about 3 years ago before I went on my sabbatical. But that video is still very much valid, very much detailed. You can watch that here, but after you've watched this one, because what this does is it gives you a basic understanding, which I think majority of students lack. When they don't understand what it is they're trying to achieve, then it becomes a case of confusion. Now, what is literature review? Literature review is done, or is, I mean, this is not like a proper definition or something, but you conduct a literature review so that you can understand the studies out there. You can draw inference from studies that are out there, different studies that align with your topic. That's the simple explanation. Bring different topics together and be able to draw a conclusion from them. It's as simple as that. I mean, all other parts are involved, but that's the basic thing we're trying to do. Now, there are different types of literature review. You could have a standalone literature review, or you could have a literature review that resembles that takes a systematic approach. Now, don't bother your head about that. I don't want to complicate this video. Do not bother your head about that at all. Your school's module brief, your assignment brief would have provided you with the details of what is required of you. If you're doing a standalone literature review, you will have been told. If you're doing a systematic review, you would have been told. I mean, that would cover all of that. It would provide you with all of that details, including your rubrics as well. So do not bother yourself about that. Now, what does it contain? We're going to go about this a little bit in detail, but not very much. So we're going to gloss over what a literature review contains. So in this case now, I'm going over the literature review that looks more like a systematic review, right? I mean, those words are used interchangeably most times. Now, that means the first thing is, at least, either you're doing a standalone or you're doing the systematic approach one, you need a topic. You need a topic. Now, we're not going to go too in-depth into topics and all that, but you need a topic. And your topic must be generated from a gap in research or a genuine need for that particular topic to be addressed. There needs to be a reason why that topic has been chosen, right? So you need a topic. There's a detailed video on literature review topics as well. You can watch that here. But again, like I said, so I'm reminding myself of this now so I don't start talking too much and going into too much details and then I end up causing confusion. I want to gloss over what literature review is. Now, you have your topic. The next thing is you need to conduct your chapter 1, which is introduction. This does not mean that every chapter 1 has to be introduction. Some people call it background. Some people call it introduction. You can call it whatever. Some people write chapter 1 to be introduction and literature review. So I'm just listing this based on how I would like to write my literature review. Now, introduction. The purpose of introduction is you want to introduce your topic. It's that simple. What is this topic? What is this issue you're trying to study? Tell us a bit about it. You tell us about it. But it has to be in chronological order. You have to have an approach to the introduction. Again, there is a detailed video on introduction as well. You can watch that. So tell us about this topic. Now, what you want to achieve with your introduction is to be able to present the issue, present it to us, make a case, present the current matter. Tell us what is currently happening with it. Then after that, you go on into literature review. This could be chapter 2, or it could be part of your introduction as well. What does the literature review part do? Now, you might be wondering, but we're talking about literature review, and then a chapter is also called literature review. That's why I said there are different types of literature review. We're talking more of the one that looks like a systematic review. Now, this literature review can also be referred to as review of existing literatures. So about that, it's a review of literatures. Now, what does that mean? It means that you want to check what are the existing things out there that influences this our topic. What has all other studies found that has shown us that there is a reason for us to conduct this review that we're actually doing? It's sort of, I would call it a form of gap analysis to say, what do we have? What is missing? Which informs why we are conducting the literature review. So that's the purpose of that review of literature. So you do all of that, and the goal of conducting writing the literature review chapter is such that it leads you to your rationale. It gives the justification for the study, which is A has said this, B has said it, C has said this, but there is nothing to address this topic that we are doing, which is why we are conducting this topic. That's sort of some form of rationale, and then leads us to our aim and objective for the particular literature review. So that's the main goal of the literature review chapter. Now, that leads me to the methods. Methodology is a big part. You need to tell us how you've gone about the literature review and why you have chosen that approach to go about your literature review. So if you're conducting, are you going qualitative? Are you going quantitative? And if you're going quantitative, there are things you need to include. If you're going qualitative, there is an approach to which you need to do it. You can't not understand your methodology when you are writing your methods. So yeah, you need to have a baseline understanding of the methods. But a step-by-step approach or guide would be very beneficial in this way, which is why I tell students that are struggling with their literature review to one way or the other, reach out. Let us be able to help you. Let us be able to support you. I have a one-to-one literature review support that I offer. So you can look in the description section and you'll be able to get more details on that. So that's something to consider. Now, that said, you need to go about the methods the right way. It needs to be detailed as possible. Now, that's a big part of it. I can't emphasize that enough. You need to tell us how you have gone about your search, why you have gone about your search. You need to always state the reason why you have chosen to do one thing. Doesn't mean that it is right or it is wrong. It just tells us that you understand what you're doing. So there needs to be a reason. If I'm going qualitative, why? If I'm going quantitative, why? If I've chosen this database to search, why? If I have chosen this particular approach to search that database, why? I need to always state that reason. It is extremely important. That is the key part of the literature review. So aside that, you cannot then go into the findings. For the findings section, right, you want to tell us, after you followed the methods that you listed, all of those methods, after you have told us why and you have done it, you've done the search, what did you find? How many studies? What did those studies, what did you get from them? What did you extract from them? What form of analysis did you conduct on them? That's all of the things we want to get from your findings. So if you've decided that, I'm going to use quantitative or qualitative, say qualitative for example, and I've decided to use thematic analysis. These are the themes, this is how I extracted the themes, this is how I went about it, this is the reason why I did that. So you want to show us all of those findings. That's the key part of, that's what you want to see on that result or findings. Now, aside that, you now go into discussion. What does your discussion do? Your discussion talks about your findings extensively. Now, this is where your critical analysis skill comes in. If you haven't seen that video on critical analysis, you need to watch it. So you want to discuss what has other literatures found in regards to this. So you want to tell us, A has found this, I also found the same thing. B has found this, no, I found something different, which is not the same as B. And what I can draw from that is that, you want to make all of those reasonable conclusions. You want to be very critical, go all out, give us the description. That's the bit we want to hear about. You understand? So that's a big part of this, and that's one thing that I don't think that I think that sometimes we describe the discussion section, so you want to shy away from that. You want to be very critical. I'm not going into details, like I said. So yeah, aside that, then you want to conclude and then give us recommendations based on everything you've discussed. What can you recommend? What are your recommendations? What does this mean for future research? What does this mean for the particular field? Let's say nursing, for example. What does this mean for the field of nursing? What's your future recommendation? Now, what's your recommendation for researchers? What's your recommendations for practice? Now, you also want to go into details about implication. Implication of your findings is different from recommendation. So what's the difference? Your implication is such that, okay, I found this. It's going to have this implication on nursing. Now, these are the things I can recommend in relation to what I have found. You see that it's quite different. Yes. So your recommendation is actually, these are some of the things you can do. These are some of the approaches that you can take to be able to implement some of these findings. So that's sort of the direction we want to go. So literally, that is what a literature review is. So when they ask you, what is a literature review? Literature review is bringing in existing literatures, choosing a topic, bringing in existing literatures to address that subject matter or topic, and then be able to draw a conclusion, a definite conclusion from it. So that means that at the end of your literature review, you need to conclude. There needs to be a conclusion, and as well, you need to include all of your references. That is very important. Remember, help is available for you if you need it. There's a link in the description box that would address all of that. Now, that said, I know that this video is packed and I've glossed over everything. There is a more detailed video, but I also promise to make a really detailed video. I'm sure, the previous one was like 45 minutes long. I'm sure that if I make a really detailed video now with everything I know, it will be very long. Probably have it in parts. But yeah, that's something to consider. I promise to do that, but I don't know when. But when it's out, you see it. It will be detailed and guide you through each of the steps, each of the processes. Now, that said, share this with anyone that you know this will be beneficial to. Make sure you've liked, make sure you've subscribed. And until I see you again in my next video, make sure you put a smile on somebody's face. Bye.